Hey everyone, it's Rob Stanley with the FeedbackWhiz podcast. And today my special guest is Andy Lamb. Hey Andy, thanks for being on.
Hey Rob, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about persistence when starting and growing an Amazon FBA business. And just so everybody who's listening knows, so Andy's actually a seven-figure Amazon seller. He owns Prestige Amazon FBA Mastermind on Facebook, and he also has a great YouTube channel called the Official Andy Lamb YouTube channel. So Andy, thanks again for being on, and we are going to jump right into some questions I have for you, and we're going to try to help out some of these Amazon sellers,
Let's
and
do
which
it.
is one
Let's
of
do
the
it.
things you're known for on YouTube is doing videos to help people. So
That's the
let's jump
goal.
right in. You ready? So
Yeah.
why is my Amazon buy box percentage dropping? Now you did a video on that, but why don't you kind of highlight for everybody if they're still seeing that issue on their buy box percentage dropping, kind of what's going on there, and maybe is it solved yet?
Yeah. So this was an issue I was kind of stressed about for, I don't know, a few weeks because, typically most sellers usually see, the 99, 98%, buy box percentage. And then over the course, maybe a few months ago, I started to see it drop off to almost at 60, 70%. You never want to see that on your account. And that kind of worries you a little bit. So I kind of like dove deep and was trying to figure out, exactly why. The typical reasons are you have hijackers. So somebody's hopping on your listing and selling the same product. But for me, that's not really the case. Like, I own the trademark, I own the brand. I'd never really authorized anybody else to sell that product. So I was just trying to figure out why, even if Amazon hops on your listing to sell the same product because they, damaged it a bit, that doesn't drop it off that much. So I was able to kind of figure out, somebody mentioned to me, what if somebody's selling your product internationally? So then I was able to go check out, Amazon Canada, Amazon Mexico. Those are the two primary ones. And I noticed that almost all of my products were pretty much being drop shipped in those countries. So they didn't even have any inventory. The shipping times were probably like 2 to 3 weeks. So I guess what people were doing were listing my products, just and like increasing the price by like maybe 4 to 5 times.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were making any sales because I personally wouldn't buy my products at that price point. But yeah, that was the problem. And one of the good things with brand registry, if you guys don't have brand registry, make sure you get brand registry. They can deal with that super quickly. So I think if you go onto the Amazon brand registry platform, they can get rid of those listings in a matter of minutes. So you just kind of check them off really quickly and then submit it's kind of like a plan of action, or submit I'm forgetting the term, but just submit it, and it gets removed in a matter of minutes. So super pain-free. You don't have to submit like a whole plan of action to get everything removed. But that was the whole thing of dropping by a box. And that personally helped me. Hopefully it helps you guys, but yeah.
Yeah, that was a great video. That was definitely a great video with lots of great information on there. And he has tons of videos on there, but I kind of took some of his better videos that were just like, man, I want him to talk about it. And one of them, and not to like kind of jump around a little bit, which we will, but I want to get everybody this information. And one of the things that gets brought up all the time on the show is like, what items to avoid selling on Amazon. Now, I'm talking, we all know about, there's a list, right? I've talked about it many times that there's an actual list. But what things have you seen that people should avoid selling on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, if you've been looking at Amazon FBA videos on YouTube, everybody uses the classic example of the garlic press.
Yeah.
And one of the big reasons why is just because everybody's selling the same garlic press. So if you're able to, hop on a niche or hop on a certain type of product that you're interested in selling, if everybody's selling the same product, it's going to be super hard for you to stand out. Those are typically the products you want to avoid. Similar to the garlic press is the jade roller. I know early people have found like a lot of success selling the jade roller, but again, aside from like changing the color, like how many how many ways can you differentiate to actually stand out from the rest of the competitors? So it's products like that. Super saturated ones like iPhones. I mean, you're in the phone accessory business, or you were.
Yeah.
So if you're not really ahead of the curve and you don't have, direct suppliers for it, and you can't have that advantage of getting the items early, it's going to be extremely difficult because these Chinese sellers are getting like 10,000 reviews like super quickly. So it's items like
Manipulating
that.
the market. They're manipulating it. We know they're manipulating it. There's no
Yeah.
way. There's no way. I was in that industry. There's just no way you physically get that many like product reviews that quickly. There's just no way without manipulating it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of typical ones, but basically what Andy's saying is find something unique or something that has a low amount of people selling it, especially if you're getting in. It's like kind of your first time. Find an easy entry point that is something that's unique, that you're going to have good time selling. It's not going to be a bad experience. I think that's really doing research is really helps.
Yeah, it's all about that due diligence for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of kind of sourcing, could you give maybe a few tips on sourcing and negotiating products to sell on Amazon?
Yeah. Especially, I mean, most people nowadays are going directly to Alibaba, and that's probably the easiest way to get connected with suppliers and manufacturers. And I still do it. I've met some of my suppliers in China, but I know people starting out don't necessarily have that opportunity. But especially when you are reaching out to suppliers on Alibaba, just try to be super professional. I know that when you're first starting out, it's like a new territory that you kind of have to, just dip your feet in. But a lot of times you may just want to seem like a big company. If they know that you're just an individual seller, they're just going to take advantage of you and like mark up list prices like super high. I've definitely dealt with this. An example of this is that I think I was paying like twice my cost of goods for one of the products that I'm selling now, because that was one of my first products. And then when I went to China, I got like the same product for half as much. So just being able to sound super professional, sound like a big corporation, introduce yourself properly, be straightforward with what you're looking for, seem super informed about the product that you're looking for and exactly what you want in the product. If you don't know, specific terms in terms of like shipping, and like if you don't know what FOB is and EXW, those are red flags for them, or those are green flags for them, in like hiking up the cost, just trying to take advantage of you. Of course, they want your business, but they may not be able to give you, or they may not be willing to give you the best price if they know that you're a new seller and you don't have much experience. So especially if you're dealing with them for shipping as well, you might, increase the price of cost of goods as well as the price of shipping. So that's why I think a lot of people are scared of the Amazon FBA business model, because they see, how are people making profits when these suppliers are offering, $10 a unit for a $20 product.
A big mistake I see a lot of new sellers make also is they'll start negotiating for the samples, like pricing on the samples, or they're going to ask for free samples or free shipping on them. Look, one of the things is pay for the samples, get the samples, pay the shipping to get it over to you. Probably get like 5. I always recommend getting 5 samples. Some people say 2 or 3. I guess if it's a really, really expensive item, maybe get 2 or 3, but get like 5. That way you can put them through different tests and stuff. Take it apart, crash it, depending on the item, right? Really test it out and look at the quality inside one. Like if it's got, see how the plastic's put together. How's the glue holding it, put it in a little bit of heat out in the sun and see if it falls apart. I mean, I'm not getting too specific because, each item's going to have its own thing, but that is one flag right there is if you start trying negotiating on the samples or asking for free shipping, they're going to know you're new and you're beginner. So
yeah. And with that, like, I know that especially when you're first starting out and money can be tight and people want to conserve on sample costs, one of the things that you can probably include in the contractual agreement or the purchase agreement is to have that sample cost included in the entire cost of the inventory. So you will be eating the cost of shipping, but if you're, spending $200 on a sample, that could be put towards most suppliers will do this, but that can be put towards your entire order cost.
Yeah, I've actually had them do that. So that's a great tip right there, that a lot of times see if you can negotiate whatever you spent on the samples and shipping, that if you placed an order at a certain MOQ, that basically refund you back into it or give you a
Yeah,
credit towards
yeah,
it. So that's a good
yeah.
call. A lot, I don't think anybody's mentioned that on the podcast. So that's a great one. No, seriously.
Save you
So
guys some money there.
yeah. So what makes up a good product to sell on Amazon in your opinion? I mean, that's kind of a general
Ooh,
question, but
yeah.
give us an idea of kind of what makes up a good product. Being
Um,
unique features.
makes you a lot of money. No, I'm just kidding.
Makes you a lot of money. Yeah, I think we're all looking for that.
Yeah, don't sell a garlic press. And on that topic, just being able to, I always say like that main hero image is super important in just catching the consumer's eye, and being able to produce a product. You don't necessarily have to invent a product, but being able to differentiate in one way that actually, caters to your consumer base, and you can portray that in your main image, is a big factor in making those sales. So if you're able to differentiate in a way that nobody else is, that's a huge factor. I think that's one of the biggest factors right now, especially in 2020 moving forward. High search volume. A lot of people are getting into certain niches because they see like such low reviews. And a lot of people on YouTube and, in the courses teach this, look at the top 10 sellers of a certain niche. If the reviews are under 75, it's a golden opportunity. But if there's like 100 people searching for that type of product on a monthly basis, you're taking a piece of a very small pie, and chances are you're not going to be very happy with the results. So using, the abundance of software tools right now surrounding Amazon FBA, just being able to make sure that there's actually people looking for the actual product, searching the certain relevant search terms. Sometimes I like to look for, a certain amount of search volume before I actually get into a certain product. So if there's only like 1,000, 5,000 people looking for a certain product within all relevant search terms, I am more than likely not to get into that certain product, just because I know the sales volume isn't there. It's not my ideal point. And that's just something that I'll try to avoid. It may be a good opportunity for slow sales if somebody's just looking to dip their feet in. But for me personally, I'm looking for more volume nowadays. If I'm able to compete and differentiate in a certain way, I'm definitely going to take that risk as opposed to selling something that sells 5 units a day.
Unless those 5 units make you like $1,000 net profit each.
Yes,
That's a whole different game, right?
That is true. That is true.
What about right? What about categories? Is there some categories better than others in your personal opinion? Like, have you right now, are you selling in different categories? Or are you kind of niched into a certain category?
Right now I'm personally niched into one category. I'm starting a second brand in a completely different category. In terms of categories that I recommend for people starting out to sell in, just avoid things with like restrictions or like, I try to recommend having an open mind, because a lot of people are scared to get into like oversized products or products that are super fragile. Because a lot of people are scared to get into these categories, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So for example, one of my next products is an oversized product. And because a lot of people don't want to ship such a large product, it is more of a hassle. But if the numbers are right and the sales are there, that's something I'm willing to get into. But products that are gated, I personally don't recommend, because they're gated for certain reasons. Like, don't go off and sell something that's potentially explosive on your first product. You don't want to be hit with any lawsuits. It's just going to be a tough time, especially if you're just first starting out. If you want like exact categories that I look up, I could probably pull that up.
That's up to you. Right? I'm just asking the questions. I don't want you to give away too many of your secrets. Plus, we want
Yeah.
people to come and watch your YouTube videos too. So we'll leave that one right there. How about that? How about,
Okay. Yeah.
do you feel with all the competition on Amazon that you are forced to lower your margins sometimes? Like, have you felt some of that pressure?
I personally haven't. I think fortunately I've been like lucky enough to kind of build my business around differentiating well enough. So a lot of my products I'll actually create new molds for. So I'll go as far as, investing 1,000 to 2,000 upfront to create a new mold that nobody else has. But I know that there's a market for. So
Nice.
I think that's one of the biggest price points, or biggest differentiation points. So for example, I have a product. I saw a competitor that was selling his product for about, I think it was like 15, 16 bucks. And it was a super simple product, but there was a lot of complaints about it. So like any new seller, you kind of have to go and look through the reviews, look through the negative reviews, see where you can kind of improve upon the product. So that's exactly what I did. So I put up, I think it was like 1,500 upfront to create the mold. I had them create, a mock-up for me. I made edits from there. And I was able to sell the product for 25. And I think I'm sourcing it for like $1.75 now or something.
There you go.
So just being able to differentiate, I know that you can add a lot of value to certain products. And I think that's where a lot of people don't think, in terms of differentiation. Like, I don't want to get into certain categories that just look like a price war. Like if you look at a lot of people are selling those germ keys now. I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, this is such a low cost product, but it's destined to get to like $4 or something like that.
I feel it's like the next, was it fidget spinner?
Fidget
type
spinners,
thing, right?
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of the next thing, or the loom bands or whatever they called them back in the day, right? Like it's one of those things that it's a great idea, but it's so low of a price point, everybody's going to jump on it. Like everybody's going to do a variation of it. So
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good product. I mean, it's a great idea, especially right now. Actually, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask you another question related to that. So, kind of with these uncertain times right now with the COVID-19 going on, is it really a good time for people to jump in and start selling on Amazon?
I would personally say so. Yeah. I mean, just economically based, like a lot of people are out of jobs and a lot of people are looking for other sources of income. And I personally think that, if you've always thought about Amazon, definitely make that leap and try it out. I think it's still a great opportunity. And right now, especially, I've noticed my ad costs have been going down for the most part. So it may have been because of the new beta testing for, video ads and display ads, but a lot of people are lowering their bids because, for example, if you're selling birthday party supplies, nobody's really buying birthday party supplies or baby shower decorations or something like that. Not a lot of people are having those celebrations right now. So a lot of people are, turning off their PPC or lowering budget on PPC just because the sales volume just isn't there right now. And because the sales volume isn't there, historically the ranking process was to, match the top sellers in sales, so that you're able to rank your product. So because there's a lot of sellers making less sales right now, I think it's just the ranking process is a lot easier now, in my personal opinion. So is Amazon FBA a good time, or is Amazon FBA, a prime opportunity right now? I wouldn't say it's prime. Maybe 10 years it was prime, but I still think it's a good opportunity, especially during these times.
I agree with you 100%. I just had a great idea for a product. I was sitting there going, somebody's got to come up with something that you could send out to all your friends that when you have your birthday or celebrating, maybe an anniversary or something, that everybody gets a little kit, right? And it has little things in it. And then that way when you're all on the video, you could be kind of celebrating together on video, right? On Zoom or whatever it is. And I was like, man,
Yeah.
that'd be great, right? Obviously, be better if we could add alcohol, but obviously, Amazon's not going to do that.
Oh,
But,
that'll be the day.
right? Because I'm already thinking, hey, my birthday's coming up in December, and I've got a pretty big birthday coming up, and I'm like, man, how could I celebrate? I mean, I'm not going to go celebrate with friends, but I'm like, wouldn't it be kind of cool to do a Zoom meeting, have people drop in all day, but maybe give them, have something where it's sent to certain friends that could jump on and kind of celebrate with you, right? Meaning, celebrate with a cocktail.
I would totally send you a box of IPAs.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that would be fun. Okay, so what are some of the obstacles for new sellers starting out?
Obstacles for new sellers.
I know there's a lot of them, but
yeah. I think a lot of people are just skeptical of the entire business model. Probably because there's 50,000 YouTube ads going around selling Amazon FBA courses. I think that's one of the biggest obstacles, just to kind of get around the idea of, it's not a scam, it's not a pyramid scheme. You own your own business, you own your own brand, depending on how you go about selling on Amazon. But I mean, just being able to spend the time to learn the business model. We'll probably dive deeper into this later, but just doing your due diligence. There's especially like moving forward, there's so much to learn about, private labeling, especially on Amazon, that it's extremely important that you kind of just dive super deep into all the resources that you can find on Amazon. And this is not to say that you need to go out and buy a course, because chances are if you buy a course and you fail, you're going to say that Amazon FBA is a scam. But YouTube is an amazing source. Like the FeedbackWhiz YouTube channel has such amazing content. But there's so many YouTube channels on Amazon FBA specifically that, I think that's primarily one of the biggest obstacles, just being able to learn as much as possible.
What about one thing that we hear and we always try to caution new people starting out is, don't go take out a loan. Don't go mortgaging the house to get started, right? Like you can do this with a minimal amount of money to get started, but do the research first. That's what you just basically said, is do the research, like learn everything you can before you go drop in $2,000 to $5,000 or something to get started, right? And try to keep it in that maybe $2,000 to $5,000 area, and just pick a product that to learn the process, even if you break even on it. And I've always recommended that when I get people on and we talk about this, is be careful. Just be careful not to go out there and commit too much money and use your first product to kind of learn how everything works, how private label works, how shipping it in, how dealing with, Chinese suppliers, the whole works. Use it as a kind of starting point to get going. So, what about when building a brand? How important is it to have positive ratings? Let's talk about that a little bit. Once people get going and they've kind of learned how to get all their product there, they start selling it, how important are those ratings? I mean, you talked about it earlier that, some people are targeting people that have lower ratings and going after their products.
Yeah. Especially if you're a new seller, a lot of people are trying to cut corners now. So especially when they're negotiating with suppliers, they just kind of go for the cheapest option. But for the longevity of your business, you definitely want to go for as quality of a product as possible. Chances are buyers are more likely to leave a negative feedback over a positive feedback. So it's been extremely hard to get reviews, and it's going to be harder to get reviews. A few years ago, you could give out 1,000 products and get 1,000 reviews the next day. That isn't the case anymore. And just, quality product is one. I don't know, man. When you're first starting out, nobody really knows your brand. So when you put out that first product, it's important that first product is super high quality, so that people look into your Amazon store to see, what other products that you may find. So if you're selling kitchen supplies or something like that, and you sell a really awesome spatula, chances are somebody's going to look and say, do these guys have a really nice ladle? Do these guys have a nice pair of scissors that we can purchase? And especially if, the quality's there, the price point is there, it's more likely than not. And something that I'm seeing with my store now is that people are buying not just one product. It's most of the times it's 2 to 3 products, especially if the products are complementary. So I think that's a big thing. Positive reviews are super important, but you're eventually going to gain that traction, within the next few months, within the next few years. A lot of people are in a rush to get, 100 reviews within the first week. It's just super impossible unless you're a Chinese seller and you have bot farms like leaving reviews for you.
What about kitting things? Like we're just keep the kitchen thing in mind, right? Like if you're looking at the competition and they're selling a spatula and the person who's bought a spatula also bought a ladle, maybe what you should do is sell a spatula and a ladle together as, a kit basically. And since most people are maybe buying that with it, you could obviously sell them both separate, but maybe also have them as a kit.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, not only will that, if that's evident in the data that you're looking up, that won't only, drive more sales, but it'll increase the price point. So if the ladle's going for $15 and you can sell the package for, $22, $23, and still get the same demand, you can also rank for more keywords than the other competitors aren't.
Absolutely.
So you're not only ranking for spatula, you're also ranking for ladle and spatula. And I think that's a huge point in moving forward too, or a huge advantage in moving forward too. You're able to rank for more keywords, especially if you're able to bundle certain products that make sense.
Yeah. What about when you're building up your brand? At what point and do you kind of like go outside and sort of build your brand? Like let's say like a Shopify store or a website that has your brand, because as a shopper, right? When I go and if I find something I really like, I'll go look up the name of the company on Google, right? I'll do a Google search and then maybe go to their website, whether it's a Shopify store or just go look at their website in general, because I'm like, hey, maybe they have the other good stuff that I want to buy, or what other things are they making? Do you do that also?
I've been trying to be honest. I think early on, I tried too early and I didn't find the success that I was hoping for. But that's something that I'm going to be trying really soon. I do build off the social media presence. So I know a lot of people are looking for these brands on Facebook, and I do get a lot of people reaching out to me or my brand on Facebook, on Instagram. And it's good to kind of build that too, because a lot of people do tag the product that you sell. Depending on your product, most people probably won't tag a garlic press, but I think like I have a lot of friends that do drop shipping. So they do build their own Shopify stores. And I think from that perspective, if you do have a product that's well differentiated enough that, most people don't see on the market, having a Shopify store or an outside store of Amazon could be a huge benefit, could be a huge advantage. So that's my take on that. I know a lot of brands do have their exterior websites, but that's something I need to dive deeper into soon.
All right. Well, we'll be looking out for that video when you get it going, because it sounds like maybe, newer people should maybe build that brand up first on Amazon and build it up before they maybe look outside to do like a Shopify store or website or something. Is kind of what you're saying. I can totally understand that.
Yeah. That's one of the big benefits too. Like Amazon has a huge shopper base. So if you're able to leverage Amazon's base and find success there, it's likely that you'll find success outside of it too. Yeah.
All right. So here's a big question for you. How did you lose $10,000 selling on Amazon FBA?
Juicy.
Right. Let's jump right into this. So everybody want to listen to this, because this is what probably not to do.
Yeah. I probably hit all those bases earlier in this video, but I guess a little backstory. So I started selling on Amazon a little bit a few years ago, maybe like 2.5 years ago or something, when I was still working my 9 to 5. I was looking for the side income. Living in the Bay Area, you need a side hustle because you just can't afford anything here, especially at the salary that I was getting paid. So I was looking for, a way to make money. And at the time, I had a friend that was doing pretty well. I think he was doing like, between his partner and him, they were doing like 120K in profit on an annual basis. And I was like, I could totally use an extra 60K.
Yeah.
So I just decided to go into the Amazon FBA, business and, try to learn as much as possible. I thought I knew everything. That's one of my biggest mistakes. Just going through YouTube. There are a lot of YouTube videos then, but, I think I watched like 10 before I was like, all right, I got this, I can do it. But one of the biggest mistakes, just being able to do your due diligence and learn as much as possible, educate yourself before you invest in your product. That's been one of the biggest reasons why I lost that initial investment. $10,000 was across 2 products. So I failed the first one because I thought it was going to make me $1 million by the end of the year. The search volume was there. It was just too competitive. And I was differentiating my product in a way that nobody wanted it to be differentiated in. So I think just understanding your consumer base and doing that research and, just look, I mean, the answers are there. They're in the reviews. Like, just read the reviews and stuff like that. That's going to save you a ton of money. Yeah, so that first product was just a fail just because it was too competitive. And
did you end up with just a bunch of inventory that you got stuck with and had to liquidate, or did you have issues with the factory shipping? What happened?
No, it was all there. It was like, it was all in the Amazon warehouse. It was selling like 1 or 2 a day or something. Mm-hmm. My ad spend was like way more than the actual sales. Overall, I was just losing money on it. So eventually I don't even think I liquidated it. I just told Amazon to get rid of it because the inventory storage costs were just eating up everything. Yeah. So the next product I launched found some success. So that's when I was kind of like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this and I can grow this. And then the third product, was, I think it was about $5,000. So the first and third product were about $5,000, but it was also something that I saw, I was following the other gurus and they were saying, as long as the top competitors have less than 75 reviews, you're golden. And that was true. And the demand was there. It was just, everybody was bidding $10 for PPC. So there were no profits to be made, super hard to rank for. It was just a money pit. Like, I was just throwing money into ads and it wasn't making any back. And I think that's my next biggest fail. I think just being able to do your due diligence, putting the effort into learning the entire business model first. I know choosing a hard product or choosing a good product is one of the most difficult things to do when starting a private label business, but just be patient. You'll get there. Like, I have students that are super frustrated that they can't find a product and they're out there. Trust me, like it just takes time for you to have that eye to find certain products.
Do the research, right? Get educated and do research on products. That the time and the effort you put into doing that research should pay off in the long run. It should pay off.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice. So why don't you tell everybody what did you do before you started your journey into the Amazon FBA business and stuff? We talked about it. You said you had this job that you kind of were just going round and round in, wasn't paying that great, but what was it and what were you doing?
Yeah. So with the traditional route, went to school, finished in biotech. So I was actually working in agricultural research for the United States Department of Agriculture for 4 years, about 4 years. And in that time, maybe halfway through, I was kind of looking into side hustles, and Amazon was just one of them. But I was doing a lot of like microbiological, some biotech work in the lab. So imagine a regular Asian kid in a lab, the stereotypical job setting. Made my parents happy, but eventually, like, I wasn't happy. Like, maybe the first year I was like, this is great. I was super interested in the work, and I was super excited. I had great coworkers. And then it's just like slowly shifted. And I was like, can I see myself doing this for the rest of my life? And eventually, like towards the end of year 3 and year 4, while I was working, it was just, I was like a zombie, man. I would just like show up, didn't want to wake up, like drag my feet into the office. It was just like, I think it got to the point where I was like also like day trading and swing trading a little bit. So I was like, I had 2 monitors pulled up and I was looking at numbers. Like it was just bad. It was just so bad. But yeah, I was doing a lot of greenhouse work.
What was the kind of aha moment that you were just like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to commit to trying, Amazon, selling on Amazon.
It's a funny but really bad story, or a good story depending on how you take it. But so I think it was after like my first tax year for the business, or I think around then, I had seen that I had passed like 6 figures in revenue, and I was like, I mean, I wasn't taking home much, but I was like, this is something I could definitely scale. And I think that was just off of like 1 or 2 successful products at the time, or like quote unquote successful products at the time. And I was still like continuously doing product research and finding new products to expand on. It wasn't so much an aha moment. Yes, I did have that, that numbers to kind of back up that decision, even though it wasn't much. But it was like my work environment. So it was just timing. At that time I had gone back from my China trip, which was vacation. And I had realized that I could cut the cost of goods by more than half for a lot of my products and products that I was going to be launching in the future. And also at the time I had a horrible boss. Like he was just micromanaging me. Like he was making sure I was throwing out the trash correctly. I was like, yo, I've been working here for 4 years. I don't need somebody breathing down my neck to show me how to throw away trash. So yeah, I think, so I had gotten back from China and I really didn't want to go back to work. So I actually took like another week off. And then I showed back up to work on a Friday. I think it was in May. So it's been a little over a year since I left my job, but I didn't even put in my 2 weeks. I just said, hey dude, can I talk to you for a little bit? It was that bad. But he knew that I had Amazon FBA on the side, and he was like, I support whatever hustles that you want to pursue. So nice. That's kind of how that story went. But that probably wasn't the best way to leave a job, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, for sure. How many years you've been selling on FBA now?
Full-time 1 year.
Okay.
Part-time maybe a year and a half. I don't think I was taking it as seriously as I should have back then. I could have grown the business a lot further or a lot faster, but within this year I've grown it a lot. So it's just crazy how much you can scale off the Amazon platform. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen up, everybody. Andy Lamb, you got to go look him up in 2 places. First of all, on Facebook, prestigious Amazon FBA Mastermind on Facebook. And then second, go over to YouTube. It's called the official Andy Lamb YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. He has some great videos. I'm always watching when he comes out, and everybody knows I'm a big YouTube guy. So I love seeing his videos when he comes out. Lots of great content. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. And Andy, thanks again for being on the FeedbackWhiz podcast.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more information, please visit feedbackwhiz.com.